Welcome to Correlation Nation. This is the PropSpot April 5th edition. We're going to go ahead and hop right into this. We had a nice big slate, 12 games, absolutely ridiculous amount of games. Tons of work, tons of things to go over, injuries, whatnot. So up at the top, we have Oklahoma, Indiana. Jalen Williams, he still remains questionable, probably pretty unlikely to play. I think that they're leaning towards just trying to get these guys healthy going into the playoffs. And then on the other side, you have Miles Turner. He hurt his hand or his finger pretty bad. Didn't look very good. And I think that, even though he's questionable, it's a true game time decision, I'd say, but he is probably more probable to sit than play. And even if he does play, you probably don't really want to fire up any props on this guy. And then moving down, we have Portland, they have a bunch of injuries, but nothing too notable. The starting lineup from the other day is probably going to continue on to today. So, Scoot Henderson, Rupert, Murray, and then Walker and Ayton. Those guys probably will start. And then on the other side, you have Rashawn Holmes. He remains questionable. And also, in my opinion, my lean would be he's unlikely to play. They're probably going to continue to run out Vukovic, allow him to get run, and just help try to, build him up and let him. And then Orlando, it's Charlotte. Orlando looks pretty clean mostly. And then on the other side, we do have a bunch of people that are probably probable to play. Micic, he missed the last game with a shoulder injury, I believe, and he looks probable to play. Same thing with Brandon Miller. He's also probable. I think he was dealing with like a hand sprain or a wrist sprain. And then Miles Bridges, I thought he would play through his, and he missed. And then Nick Richards is the true question. Well, you want to keep an eye out for whether he plays or not. I don't know if they have a lean whether he's like doubtful or so just questionable. And again, yeah, I think due to the nature of the injury, being a foot injury, I think that there's a pretty good chance that they just allow him to rest. I mean, they don't really have any reason to push this guy. So moving down, Sacramento, Malik Monk, he remains out, and then the rest is pretty clean. And then Boston, this was the one that we just got Jaylen Brown today. He was ruled out. He was already questionable and probably pretty unlikely to play. And also Derek White, actually. I thought that these guys had a good chance to set. They've been managing all these injuries, setting a lot of them. And, I mean, why not when you have the depth and the amount of players they do? Moving down, Spurs and New Orleans Pelicans. Keldon Johnson was ruled out. Chetty Osman was already doubtful, if not already out, and so that's not really a surprise. Zion Williams on the other side, he would be Williamson. He would be the one that was probably a true game time decision. We'll just have to wait and see. Dealing with a finger injury, and I don't know. He might have a good chance of playing, but it's just one of them things you have to keep your eye on. And then New York, Brunson being questionable. I don't know if he was questionable last night, so that's kind of new. Josh Hart, he was already questionable the day before, and he played through that, so that's not really anything new. And let's just pull it up. He had a huge game, I know. Wrist, yeah, it's the same thing he was dealing with. It's really nothing new, so I'd look to see him probably play. And then the other side's pretty clean. Nothing really notable on the other side. Running down, we have Miami and Houston. Tyler Hero looks to maybe make a comeback, and then Rozier, he looked to have like tweaked his knee or something towards the end of the game. I thought it was like in the fourth quarter or something. Was limping pretty bad in the locker room apparently. But he played through it. He played the rest of the way through the game, so I think that's a true game time decision. And then with Hero coming back, it makes things quite murky. It clouds things up. You don't really know what the role for Rozier is going to be. And we'll just have to wait and see. We don't know how that's going to shake out. And then on the other side, Amin Thompson, he also twisted his ankle, I think, late in the game yesterday, and he's been ruled out. So that's pretty notable. Cam Whitmore is shown as the projected starter. We don't really know that that's what's going to happen, but it could. You'll just have to keep your eye on what the starting lineup is. But either way, I think it bumps Whitmore up, probably give him a few more minutes, and you know, not the worst look in the world. Moving down to Toronto and Milwaukee, Gary Trent, he's still questionable. I think he's a true game time decision. You have to keep your eye on whether this guy plays or not. A bunch of guys out, but that have been out, so nothing really new to look at there. Over there, and then on Milwaukee, we have Damian Lillard. He's returning today from that's like a quadriceps or like a groin or something like that. So he's coming back. Coach said that he probably could have played in the last game, so you might look to temper your expectations with him. They may cut his minutes down just a little bit to help him manage his injury, especially with Giannis doubtful to play today. And he's been dealing with injury management stuff for quite a while, so not the biggest surprise to see him sit. Probably the smart thing. They should probably give him a little bit more time off through the past few weeks, try to get him rested up. So anyways, it is what it is. Look for Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard looks to be in a pretty good spot, but it just kind of comes down to whether Toronto can keep it competitive or not. And then you also look for potentially it shows Jay Crowder in the starting lineup, and that could happen. But you definitely look to see Portis get extended run in this spot. So also Middleton. Detroit and Memphis. So Cunningham is out, was listed out, was like a late scratch in the last game. And now he's been ruled out again. I would say that they don't really have any reason to push this guy. Been been managing a knee injury. And so I don't know that I really look to see him play a whole lot more the rest of the way. And then on the other side, just tank tags everywhere. Kennard, Aldama, Bain, Clark, Jaren Jackson. Some of these guys have legit injuries, and then some of them probably not. So just absolutely a mess of a game. But you would probably look for Jake LaRavia and then Gigi Jackson to have pretty good roles today. That'd be my take. And then Golden State, Dallas. Wiggins left at the end of the game. Was pulled, didn't play the rest of the fourth quarter. So I'd say he's a true questionable. You might want to see what that looks like. And the Kuminga might have a shot at coming back today. I don't know if there's a strong lean, but they said that. So it says iffy. This might be another thing where they're just trying to get him healthy before going into the playoffs. But otherwise, I think he'd have a pretty good shot to play. So the issue that I would have with this game and him coming back would be, Trace Jackson and Kuminga. Trace has played fairly well. And then you don't know if Kuminga is going to come back and just take that starting spot right back. So that would be kind of something you'd want to question if and when Kuminga does return. But, just again, it's one of those things you don't know till you know. So you just kind of wait and see. On the other side, Luka is a game time decision. I was actually leaning towards him playing, but he's been downgraded to doubtful. So there's that. And we know what that does. That's going to push up Kyrie's production for sure, just his role, his usage, and he gets pretty good usage anyway. So definitely going to look to, fire him up in some spots. And then you'd be looking at PJ Washington, rebound prop, Clear, he's a game time decision. Lively still remains out. And then moving down, we have Minnesota. Towns remains out, but that's nothing new. On the other side, Nurkic, he's a true game time decision, I think. They really do need his size in this game. They say he's iffy, but I would say just keep your eye on this. I think they need his size. So if he can go, he's going to go. But just keep your eye on that starting lineup. And then Garrison Allen, he just came back in the last game. Let's see what it says about him. probable. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't look for him to like run like full for minutes, but he may. And then on the other side, John Collins, Kessler, Laurie Markin, and all ruled out. And then Kawhi Leonard remains out. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop right into the slate. You see Yurtsevin maybe projected a start. That was something that I was kind of talking about yesterday in the first look. So we're going to hop over to our notes if I can find them. Good grief. Pull them up. Bum, bum, bum. All right. Tons of stuff. Let's do this. Pull this out of the way. All right. At the top, we have 8 and 12 rebounds, 16 points. I think these are super, super live numbers in a great matchup, great spot. Missing a bunch of guys, so the offensive production should be there. 12 rebounds is super live. I mean, it's a little bit high, but he's a 12 per 36 guy. He got pretty good run in his last game. You could definitely look to see him get to 12. Now you're going to like it a little bit lower at 10, 11. You'll feel a little bit better. But just a reminder that Ayton's always a bit volatile. I just think he's super live today. Banton, 5 rebounds, 12 points. Yeah, you're not going to love a rebound prop on a guard that's not even starting. But I think 12 points is pretty doable for him in this spot. And then Duran, 9 rebounds, 10 points. I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about him just coming back from the injury. His minutes have been kind of cut down here as of late. Now, we could look to see him trend back upward, but we just don't really know. They don't have a whole lot to play for. They're already sitting, Cade. So, I don't know. I'd be questioning this a little bit, but I still think they're live numbers. I just don't trust the role. I don't trust the minutes. And then Wiseman, 4 rebounds. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. It depends on Duran. And for that reason, I just don't really trust it. Trace, we already spoke about this a bit. I think the numbers are live, especially if Kuminga sits. But if Kuminga comes back, you'll be a little bit more hesitant to play or fire anything up on this guy because you don't know what the minutes or the role is going to look like. And so for that reason, I'd be very, very cautious with him. Draymond Green, 7 rebounds. That's a live number. Brandon, 4 rebounds. It's always a live number. I mean, and he got there yesterday, barely. But he got there yesterday, so it's a live number. It's volatile because the minutes could get cut down, so you don't really know on that end of the spectrum. Bam, 9 rebounds, 15 points. I think that the 9 rebounds is super live in this spot. I don't think I'll be looking to play a points prop on him, but he could certainly get there. Jonas Valanciunas, his role is always very questionable. His minutes are usually low. They're usually pretty low, but it doesn't take much for him to get to 6 rebounds. I mean, a 6 rebound projection is at him like at 18 minutes. So, yeah, he could get there, most certainly. And then Zion, he's questionable. I don't know. I mean, they're live numbers, but I don't know that I'd be looking to play him until I have more clarity on him and his injury. So, just be very, very careful with any of his props. Trey Murphy, I'm going to like quite a bit more. 6 rebounds, 10 points. I think these are super live today, especially of Zion's sets. But I think they're live either way. And then Miles Turner, I'm not going to look to play anything on this guy, even if he does play. It's a good spot for rebounds for him, but, with the injury, I don't feel comfortable playing him. Siakam's a different story. I think he's in a pretty good spot. He should play pretty good minutes, right around 30 to 32, I think. 7 rebounds, 18 points. The only thing I'd be worried about is if OKC, because they're so depleted, if they can't keep this close, you could look to see Indiana. They're such a fast-paced team that usually when they get a lead, it's pretty bad. It turns into a blowout pretty quickly. So that would be my concern with that. But otherwise, I think 7 rebounds, 18 points is a pretty good spot. And then we have Jalen Smith. I don't have anything wrote down on him as far as like props, but you'll look to play him potentially if Miles Turner's out. He could get the start. And then Giannis, he's doubtful, so we won't talk about that too much. But 11 rebounds, 29 points, and just is what it is. Portis, if Giannis sets, then you probably will look to fire up his rebound prop and maybe even his points prop. It's not the worst thing in the world. I just still question, the uncertainty around his minutes. Banchero, 6 rebounds, 19 points. I mean, they're live numbers. I don't ever love playing a rebound prop on this guy, but and then the other thing is they are such a good team. They're a slow paced team, and their defense is good. It's kind of weird to say that. Or I mean, I wouldn't say they're such a good team, but they're such a strong defense, and they're relatively a good team. And then Charlotte are so depleted and can't barely score 100 points anyways. This could get nasty, I think, and that would be my concern with all this. So Banchero, Wendell Carter, Isaac. I don't know that you really look to play anything just based off. I'm sure it's a really, really wide line, and that's always going to scare you. Kuzma, I didn't write anything else down on because I think he's been ruled out already. Avdia looks to be coming back today. 8 rebounds, 16 points. These are live numbers. Holmes, I don't really foresee him playing, but if he does, 5 rebounds, 7 points are live. I don't think I'd fire it up just because he's coming back from injury. And the Vukcevic, 4 rebounds, 12 points. These are super live numbers. And I'll probably even be looking to fire up a points prop on him if he gets the start. Maybe not the safest play in the world because you don't know how many minutes he's going to get, whether you get in foul trouble. He is going against Ayton, I think. A lot of things could happen. There's a lot of variables here, but a lot of uncertainties. But I think 12 points is pretty live if he gets the start. And then Chet Holmgren, he's in a good spot today. 6 rebounds, 14 points. The production is certainly checkered, but he's a capable player. And then if Miles Turner sets, then you might think, or you might look to fire this up. 6 rebounds, 14 points. Giddy's kind of the same situation. I don't mind these. Olenek, 6 rebounds. I ain't playing that. RJ Barrett, 4 rebounds, 14 points. These are live numbers. You're probably not going to love a rebound prop on him necessarily, but I think the 14 points is pretty live. Hartenstein, 6 rebounds. It's a live number, but the minutes may scare you away just a bit. And then Hart, 8 rebounds. Could certainly get there. The thing I worry about, and I don't think this will happen, but Chicago likes to play Drummond as well, and sometimes we play him and Vucevic together. And boy, that makes him really, really big, and that can make it hard on Hart. But yeah, I'm not sure. Just be kind of careful with that, I think, today. Aldama, he's been ruled out. Brandon Clark's been ruled out. And then Luka's doubtful. I don't mind the 8 rebounds on Luka if he does play even 25 points. I put it low today because it's kind of a tougher matchup. And then I mentioned this yesterday. I had him around 30, but I said 25. If you round down to 25, you'll feel better. And then he got to 25, so that's always something you got to be kind of willing to consider. Gafford, 6 rebounds, 6 points. I'm going to be honest, I don't really love Gafford at all if Luka's not playing, like not in any way. I mean, I think the rebounds is probably still live, but he's such a volatile player to begin with, with his foul trouble, and we're getting into foul trouble and everything like that. It's kind of a style of play. And then I don't see the point production being nearly as probable without Luka, right? I think they go hand in hand. So if Luka's out, I'm not going to be playing much of anything on Gafford. And then PJ, 5 rebounds, 6 points. I think the 5 rebounds I like a decent amount. It is kind of a tough spot. Golden State is a little bit tough, but it is, I think it's a live number. Sabonis, 10 rebounds, 17 points. I don't mind this at all. And even honestly, the 17 points, I don't mind because Porzingis is not like a super good defender. And Sabonis, I don't really want to bank on his offensive production or like his scoring numbers. But I think today's like a decent spot for that. the 10 rebounds is always live for Sabonis. You know, he's a rebounder at like heart. You know, that's the one thing I'm always going to be looking at is his rebound prop. Wemby, nine boards and then 22 points. It's a tough spot for him, you know, but the Pelicans' defense has not been as good here lately. And I think Wemby is, you know, I mentioned this the other day. This is kind of his time to just put the team on his back. And he has. I mean, he did in the last game, which, you know, had a huge game. So I look to see him potentially have another big game here. 9 boards, 22 points. These are live numbers for sure. Tatum, pretty good spot, you know, with Brown being out and then Derek White being out as well. 7 rebounds, 25 points. I don't mind these numbers at all. Jabari, I only wrote down a rebound prop on him. I don't care much for Jabari, honestly. Almond's already been ruled out. Nurkic, he's questionable, but 8 rebounds is always live for him. If he plays, I don't mind that. I do think that they'll need his size on the court today, so I don't mind that at all. If he plays, just keep your eye on that starting lineup. Kevin Durant, 4 rebounds, 19 points. Tough spot. But I don't know that they really have anyone to match up on him. I mean, like maybe McDaniels would be the best person put on him. I can't imagine Reed being on KD, so we'll just have to see how that all plays out. But 19 points is low enough number. It is a tough spot again, but I think it's pretty live. And then even 4 rebounds is okay, but Minnesota's pretty tough. And Zubac going against Utah, 8 rebounds. Yeah, this is a super live number. I mean, they don't really have any legit centers. I mean, Zubac is a very strong rebounder to begin with. And so I think 8 rebounds is super live. Westbrook, volatile role for sure. You don't know what the minutes are going to be. 3 rebounds, 10 points. He's been getting, you know, low to mid 20s here in these past few games. And I think the usage is going to be a little bit higher just because Kawhi being out and these games being pretty important. And then the other thing is the other day, even when they were getting blown out, well, they weren't. They lost pretty bad. But anyways, when they were down pretty good, like, you know, 15, 20 points, Westbrook stayed in the game. Even when, like, Paul George and Harden was out, Westbrook was still in the game. And so you could see that they're trying to ramp him up for the playoffs, I would say. But it's still volatile. You don't really know. But that's kind of the way I would lean, is I do think that, you know, 3 rebounds, 10 points are pretty live numbers for him right now. It's just not. There is uncertainty. So, anyways, this is one that I'd really be looking at. Now, it is volatile, no doubt about it. But Yurtseven, 6 rebounds at the Clippers. Now, the Clippers show to be pretty tough on paper. But the past 2 games, they have been giving up a ton of boards to the center position. Sabonis, mind you, yes, he's a very, very good, one of the best rebounders in the league. He went off for like 20. And then in the last game going against Denver, and again, I understand it's another really good center, but Nikola Jokic, he went off for like 17 boards. And so I'm seeing the Utah be absolutely depleted in the post. And Yurtseven, this is the thing that I noticed, and I don't know if I can pull this up. Let me see if I can. Let's see if we can pull this up real quick. We'll go to Basketball Reference. That did not work. Let's pull this up. Okay. All right. Here we go. I just wanted to pull up his per 36. And there it is. It's hiding. So this year, and not just this year, his first year, so 21, 22, and then as well as this year, you can see that this guy is, over his career, he's a 14.1 true rebounder per 36. Okay. Now, I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, total minutes, you know, 1,100. I mean, I guess it's not the worst, but I don't know. The role is certainly, and the minutes are certainly volatile, but the way I see it is this is an opportunity to run a prop on this guy. If you can project him for, I don't know, somewhere between like 24 and 28 minutes, even more. Uh, we're going to pull up our calculator. So we'll say 14.1 divided by 36. And then multiply that. Let's just say 24, just to be safe. So maybe like a 9 rebound prop on him. 6 is super live. You run 7 or 8, you still don't feel the worst. I mean, it is volatile. You probably don't want to put him in a whole lot. But I think it's super duper live. So 6 rebounds on Yurtseven is, I think it's super live tonight, honestly. Samanic, so this is Lucas Samanic, 5 rebounds. Yeah, I don't know. I look for him to get decent run. I seen him play decent run in the last game, maybe towards the end more so, but he also shows to be a capable rebounder, and I think he's got some promise in the league. We'll see. Time will tell, but 5 rebounds is pretty live. Hendricks, all these are super volatile. You don't know what their roles or their minutes are going to look like at the end of the game. But anyways, they're just options. They're not like high percentage plays, that's for sure. Gobert, 10 rebounds, very tough spot, but if Nurkic is out, you could look for him to crush this number. The way I see it is you might find some value in a prop on the rebound prop on him if Nurkic sets, because it's such a tough matchup that it might be set a little bit lower just due to the matchup. And then if you get Nurkic out, you could certainly look to play a higher number, 13, 14, and feel okay about it. 11 points. Yeah, I mean, it's feasible. Vucevic, 9 rebounds. Yeah, another tough spot, but, obviously he can get there. Drummond, 7 rebounds. Questionable minutes, but, he's been getting there pretty frequently as of late, so, you don't want to bank on it, but it's not the worst look. Richard, 7 rebounds. He's truly questionable. You're not going to look to play this. Miles Bridges, 7 rebounds, 18 points. You probably don't want to play his rebound prop. It's not something I typically do. He's so up and down in his rebound production, so he's not a consistent rebounder, so that's not something I really like to do. But 18 points is pretty live if he plays. He gets heavy minutes. Tough spot, but I think he's live to get there. Scoot, 13 points. I like this one quite a bit. And then Paul George, 18 points. I don't mind that. Should be in for another heavy roll if Utah can keep it close. But I think they probably can. Even though they're super depleted, I think it's a reasonable look. And then Harden, 16 points. I don't really want to play his points prop, but I will mention that he shot the ball like 20 times in his last game. And so you could see that his offensive production could be trending upwards. I just don't love that idea. I wouldn't say he was super effective, or efficient, but yeah, he shot the ball quite a bit. And the Norman, 11 points. The minutes should be there. He shot the ball a lot too. Didn't shoot particularly well, but 11 points is super live for Norman. Like that more than Harden personally. G.G. Jackson, he should be in for a really big role today. 17 points is a super live number, but, as I mentioned before, some of these other players, his offensive production is so up and down that it's hard to really bank on it. CJ McCollum, 18 points. He's been playing pretty well. I don't mind the 18 points on him. Dame should be in a spot for a pretty big role today. Super high. He should have a lot of touch time, high usage. 22 points. I think he can get there, especially against Toronto. As long as they don't just absolutely destroy Toronto, I think he'll get there. Middleton, 12 points. It's a better look with Giannis being out, I would say. That's the way I look at this. Middleton's pretty live at 12 points. And then Emmanuel Quigley, 13 points. I don't mind that. We always like guards against Milwaukee, so Emmanuel Quigley is a pretty good look. Gary Trent, true questionable. I don't know if he was in or out, but I mean, if he's in, you don't mind it. 13's a pretty low number, and that production's been there lately. It's just more what's his production and his role and usage going to look like with all these other guys that come back. That would be my main question in that. And then also on top of that. He has been dealing with the injury. So, anyways, Franz Wagner, 13 points. I do like his prop. He tends to get between 13 and 16 at a pretty high rate. Curry, 24 points. Always live. I don't particularly like betting Curry, but, it's always live. Clay at 15 points. Another live. He shot really, really well yesterday. They both actually had really good games. But Clay just being a lower number, I always like it a little bit more. Kuminga, probably not going to be playing his prop. Jaylen Brown's been ruled out. Porzingis, 17 points. Yeah, not a bad look because on the other side, so you got Sacramento. And as I mentioned about Porzingis not really being a great defender, the same can be said about Domantas Sabonis. He's not a very good defender at all. And Porzingis, he can draw you away from the basket. I mean, there's so many things he can do. I could definitely look for Porzingis to get to the 17 points. I like that prop. Poole, volatile play always, but the minutes have been there, and the production, even though it's been always up and down, he's very live to get to 17. Kyrie, in a really good spot as far as usage and everything goes. So Kyrie, 23 points. Being one of the better offensive players in the league, you do like that. Anthony Edwards, 25 points. It's a bit high for me. I don't really like it. It's a tough spot going against Phoenix. They're both a little bit slower. But I would have to see the pace for just like the past few games because with Devin Booker being, or like that he's been shooting the ball so well and putting up really big numbers, I'd imagine that their offensive pace has been up a little bit, or their team pace has been up a little bit. So, if it is, it could create just a few more opportunities, I think. So 25's live. It's just I don't ever I don't ever love it. And great player and all, but his production can drop at any point. So Nas, 17 points. I like his a little bit more. I think he's been getting there a little bit more frequently. And just the type of game that he implements, he's a shooter first, a big man, and he shoots the ball extremely well. I think the 17 points is pretty live for him. Brunson, we'll have to wait and see. 25 points. It's always a live number for him. But we'll just have to wait and see if he plays or not. Dante, 15 points. I do like him, especially if Brunson said he'll be looking to fire that up. Halliburton, 17 points, 8 assists. Don't ever love playing up his points prop. It's not something I want to rely on, but eight assists is always live for him. He's one of the few guys I'll talk about an assist prop on. And then Nimhard, 7 points. He just gets there. It's hard to say that you love it, but this guy just gets there. Ivy, 14 points. His touch time and everything's not what you would hope it to be with Cade being out. But as long as he gets the minutes, I think that he'll get enough usage to get to 14 points. So I think this is a pretty live bet. And then Sasser. I don't have anything wrote up on Sasser or Malachi yet. But I do want to say that Malachi having such a big game the other day, you could potentially look to maybe play a points prop on this guy. Let's pull him up real quick. Might as well. Because I know that when he was in Toronto at the end of one season, he had some run and he played pretty well. Showed to be pretty capable offensive player. So this is what I want to see is his points and not that. I want to see his per 36. Yeah, 13, 27, 28, 15.8, 11.9. So he's 13.8 over his career. How many minutes has he played? Total minutes of 2,900. So I want to say it was that first season. It was his rookie year, so 2020-21. In Toronto towards the end of the year, he got some pretty good run. And what maybe not show up so much in his per 36. I remember him having some pretty good games during that time. And I don't know. If he gets heavy minutes, you could look to play him around like I don't know. I mean, you just put up a 50 burger, so I don't know. I mean, you don't want to chase the production, that's for sure. But if you can get it a low enough number, you might look to play a points prop on him. I'll look and see what the odds are, and then just go from there. But secondary guys like that, he'll probably will get some run. I wouldn't mind playing it around 12, 13 points and feel okay about that. And then Sasser, I don't know. I was looking at his offensive production. I don't really love to play a points prop on him, so we'll just pretend like that's not even there. But I think Malachi, he's a capable scorer. Butler, 17 points. It's live. I don't know. His offensive production's up and down too. You never know when Butler's gonna show up. Rozier obviously questionable, but I don't mind 14 points. He's been shooting the ball extremely well. Sexton 20 points. I'm gonna say 18 is probably gonna be a little bit more live, but I don't mind 20. Sensabaugh is another one that I was looking at. I think it's volatile for sure, but it's one worth looking at. Looking at the line, Sensabaugh 16 points. Let's pull him up in just his recent production because he's a small forward. There he is. So he's getting heavy minutes, 30 and 34 in the past two. So they're missing a bunch of bodies. And then more than that, the one thing that I really want to point out is this right here. The usage. So you can see that on the 23rd, he had 14 shots, and then these past two games. So the usage on that, and then what I see is that you got a floor of the 16 points. Now, is it a guarantee that he's going to get there? By no means, no. It's no guarantee whatsoever. But what it's kind of showing me is that if he's given the usage, he has the potential to go between 16 and 22. That's what I'm seeing. And I think that you can look and find this prop. If you can find him at, say, 20 points, the odds on it are probably going to be pretty good. And it's worth a sprinkle, in my opinion. I'll probably look for it and see what the odds are, and probably try to bundle some of these low end guys that are in a position to get good run into like a little 4 or 5 guy parlay and see, or just maybe even if they're good enough odds, I'll just sprinkle them individually. But anyways, it was just something I noticed when I was going through my research. I think that he's in a spot to maybe get pretty good run, and he could get to this number. Trey Jones, 10 points. Yeah, it's a super live number. I don't really know that I love relying on this guy for his offensive production or, scoring production. But I think 10 points is pretty live. Keldon, he's been ruled out. Don't worry about that. Branningham's another guy that I want to mention, kind of like Sensabaugh, where this guy's just in line for heavy usage, I think, today. And 10 points is super live. Not only is that live, he scored like 24 in his last game. And he could be looking for a similar role today. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to score that much, but let's see. Yeah, past two games, he's gotten over 30 minutes, put up pretty good volume of shots. You can see Utah was the only other game where he put up over 10 recently, and in that game, he had 17. So 17, 12, and 24. You fall anywhere in between those numbers, and I think you're looking at, maybe a pretty good little bet. Anyways, Fox going against Boston, 23 points. It's a tough spot. He could get there, but I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I love it. Boston is tough. Keegan, I might like that one a little bit more just because it's a low number and he's been showing just the usage. The usage has gone up on him. Let's pull him up real quick. Yeah, so here 10's the lowest he's gone. We got him at 12. He's only been under 12 one time. And the shot volume has been pretty good, especially these past 3 games. 18, 18, 14. And then 20 was the only other one. So you're looking at 23, 25, 19, 18. Yeah, you could probably, this is another guy you could probably fire up it a bit. You know, you're just about catching it at the right time. Now, is it volatile? Sure it is. I mean, he's like the third scoring option on the team right now. But it might be worth a dart. So you might take a little throw at it or swing at it or whatever and see if you can hit it. Trey Mann going against Orlando, super tough spot, 8 points. I mean, it's a doable number just because it's so low, but it is a very tough matchup. Micha, it's kind of the same thing, 10 points. You're really in the same boat. All these guys are. Now you get down to DeRozan and White and Booker. All three of these guys are a little bit more live just because of their usage. DeRozan and White. These are tough matchups. That's really all it is. I think otherwise, you'd look to fire these up, but being that they're such tough matchups. Now Booker, extremely hot. He's a guy that I'm gonna highlight yellow right now because at any point, I mean he's been on fire these past 2 games, but at any point this guy can just fall off a cliff and score like 16, 17 points. So you want to be careful with that, especially being in a tough matchup. I don't know if Ant will match up on him. Probably will. And Ant's a pretty good defender. So 23 points, it's a live number. When he's dropped like 40 and 50 in his past 2. So anyways, that's where I'm at. I'll run back through these just real quick. It is a bunch of stuff that we're looking at. It's going to be hard to decipher everything as we're running through this, but I'll just kind of mention some of my more favorable matchups and players based their roles and whatnot. So I think Sexton, he's in a pretty good spot. Rozier, keep your eye on. I don't mind Rozier, but because he's questionable, it makes it a little bit iffy. And then I'd like to say Nimhard. He's a guy that just gets there. I know I mentioned that before. But wow, relying on this guy's points production, I might highlight that right now because this is something I'm mentioning now, and I'd hate for it to bite me in the butt later. Nas, I do like Nas Reed, 17 points. Kyrie, 23 points. That's in a good spot. Porzingis, 17. Franz, 13. IQ at 13. Dame at 22. You might bring that down a little bit, but he's obviously in a great spot, and he could blow right by that. CJ at 18. He's in a pretty good spot, especially if Zion sets. Norman at 11 points. PG at 18 points. Scoot at 13 points. Gobert at 10 rebounds. Zubac at 8 rebounds. I like Tatum today. You might be a little cautious with the rebound prop. It's kind of a tough spot, but if you can get him 25 points isn't the worst. I mean, it's a bit high. I mean, he's obviously very capable, and he gets there most of the time. But it's a bit high. I don't know. If you can find it a bit lower, you probably like it a little bit more. Wimby in a great spot today. Maybe the defense is a bit tougher, but like I said here lately, they've been a little bit leaky, so it's not the worst spot in the world. And I think he's going to have a huge role. So Wimby 9 rebounds, 22 points. These are super live numbers today. Sabonis 10 rebounds. PJ 5 rebounds. RJ at 14 points. I do like that. Giddy's rebound prop. I would say I like the rebound prop more than the point prop, but you could look to play Chet and Giddy. Both their props were pretty good today, I think. And then Avdia. I like Avdia's props. Portis rebound prop should be pretty good. Trey Murphy. his props. I like those. Just gonna get that away. Bam's rebound prop. I think he's in a good spot. Draymond Green's rebound prop. Now you got to be a little bit careful. I'm going to highlight this guy right now. This guy is volatile just because we mentioned it yesterday. He's prone to get kicked out of games, so be careful with that. And then Aiton's in a really good spot today as well. So those would be my most favorite plays, just based off, like I said, matchups, usage, and just stuff like that. So anyways, hope everyone has really good luck today, and I'll catch you guys next time.